Welcome to the Tampa Bay IIBA chapter. Today is May 22nd, 2025. This is our 164th class. I am so excited to have Dr. Tracie Edwards here to talk about continual career improvement. My name is Thea Soren. I'm the president of the Tampa Bay IIBA chapter. I'm also the founder of the BA Force Multiplier Movement, author of the Business Analysis Body of Knowledge version 3, and a few other things. My job here is to help you. If you need something, it's my job. So please reach out to me. Reaching out to me through LinkedIn is the very best way to reach me. For those of you who are new to the IIBA, the International Institute of Business Analysis, it is the global governing body for business analysts. With about 30,000 members, 120 chapters worldwide, and 7 certifications, we are excited about making the world one better, one business, one project, and one life after another. What are the benefits of joining the IIBA? You receive training from chapters around the world, free access to 11,000 excellent books, including the IIBA's Business Analysis Body of Knowledge, webinars, and more. You have networking opportunities in a wide variety of formats and discounts on certification exams. I told you that the IIBA has 120 chapters worldwide. This is the Tampa Bay, Florida IIBA chapter. This is our board. These are the folks who work behind the scenes for your benefit. We appreciate them working so diligently to keep us going. Our chapter strives to build a thriving community of empowered business analysts. Members of the Tampa Bay, Florida chapter are not limited to those who live in the state of Florida. In fact, our members live all over the world. If you do not have an IIBA chapter, Tampa Bay can be your chapter. If you want to join us, reach out to me on LinkedIn. Why would you choose to join the Tampa Bay chapter? We offer multiple training sessions each week, including CBAT prep, all to benefit our participants become better, more impacted business analysts. You can see our upcoming events at our website, and the updates are posted across Facebook and LinkedIn. You can access over 150 hours of our events on YouTube, and you can get an index of all those from Bob's Amazing Index at rpchurchill.com. Thanks, Bob. The results of all those trainings have been these wonderful folks reaching out and telling us that the classes that we provide were instrumental in them being able to achieve their certification. Many of them further demonstrated how much they value the training as they've gone on to lead IIBA chapters here and around the world. I look forward to figuring out how we're going to get the current class on this wall of certification. We really do appreciate whenever they reach out and let us know that what we did was impactful to them. As you know, we don't make any money on this. This is what we want. We want to know we made a difference, a positive difference in your life. So if you can send us a note, even if it's not about certification, it really fuels our energy. As we continue to work for our community, we've created support for college students. We call them our emerging professionals. We want to help them graduate college with not just a degree like the 500 classmates they graduate with. We want them to also have a professional certification. We want them to have a professional membership and maybe more. If you're interested in any of those things, or if we can help your organization, your college, your university by doing mock interviews or come present at your organization, let us know. Reach out to either Kennedy here, the Director of Emerging Professional down, you can see her address down here, or to me. Those of you who live in Florida, if you wish to meet with other business analysts in real life, reach out to me and we will begin a branch chapter near you. These are the people that we are associating with. The most important is you, the IIBA member and the participant in our organization. We are partnered with over a dozen other IIBA chapters worldwide and 2 chapters that are brand new, just forming in Kansas City and in Houston. Reach out to me if you want to contact any of these chapters and I'll help get you in touch with them. We've also partnered with other organizations in Tampa Bay and around the world, including David's group, the Doback group. As always, our goal is to elevate our BA community. We partnered with several recruiting services and training companies for your benefit. Benefits of those associations include discounts to our participants. Watermark Learning offers you a 40% discount on all of their products using this code. Adaptive US offers a 20% discount on all live classes and on-demand courses, excluding the IIBA exam vouchers. And now for IIBA news. The ECBA is about to change. In 1 month, it's going to get a little bit harder. Not a lot harder, but a little bit harder. If you've been studying for it, I encourage you to get it taken before it changes, because you know what to expect now. You don't know exactly what to expect then. And for the rest of this month, you've got a little over a week. You can get $50 off on your application fee for your CCBA and CBAP certifications through the IIBA if you are a member. Again, being a member means that you get discounts on a lot of things, but this is an additional discount. I'm going to talk about the elephant in the room. We know that there are jobs out there, and we know where the talent is. I am the BA matchmaker. If you have jobs that you know about, reach out to me, and I bet you I can find you several people that qualify. We've been pretty successful so far. It's kind of exciting. To do something tangible to help our community find the jobs, I created an open group on LinkedIn. I post jobs here daily from my network of 16,000 connections, as well as emails. You are invited to join and add the jobs that you see here. These are jobs that you wouldn't normally see because they're my LinkedIn connections that I see them. So I'm sharing those with you. Share your jobs here. Maybe you'll find a job for you or someone that you care about here. Tonight, we have the pleasure of Tracie Edwards talking about continual career improvement. Tonight, we're going to hear about these learning objectives, how to create a personalized career development plan that aligns with your goals, techniques for building resilience and adaptability to stay ahead on your career, how to leverage networking and mentorship for continuous growth, the role of feedback and reflection in career progression, and tools and resources for staying on track with ongoing professional development. Next week, we're going to hear David talk about 4 practices for effective business analysis. He's been a business analyst for 20 years, and he's got 4 practices that he feels that are valuable to every business analyst. The week after that, Irina, our own Irina, is going to talk about regulatory framework in healthcare. She works in software development for healthcare, and it's highly regulated. She's going to give us useful tips for the business analyst. Then Barb is going to talk about chameleons and peacocks, helping you to stand out at work. Are you a chameleon? Are you a peacock? And what do you need to be for your work environment? The week after, Heath is going to talk about creating significance, workplaces that make people feel essential. Heath was at a convention that I participated in, and I went up to him at the end and said, please come talk to our group. What you have to say is something every single person needs, whether they are a leader or they're not. Business analysts are leaders. And then Joel is going to come talk to us about leveraging risk management practices and competencies to enhance business analysis and project outcomes. I'm very excited to hear this because we don't talk about risk half enough. Later in August and September, we're going to run a 8-week program. We want you to register for this ahead of time. We're going to walk through a software development lifecycle. Those of you who say, I can't get into software development because I have no experience and I really don't quite know what they're talking about, we're going to walk through it at a high level. We're going to do a real project, and we're going to break it down into 8 different steps. So we want you to participate with us. And now for our presentation. I'm going to turn it over to Tracie Edwards and let her introduce herself. I'm sorry, Dr. Tracie Edwards.
All right. Thank you so much, Thea. I have to say that Florida, the Gulf Coast and Central Florida is near and dear to me. I got my doctorate from Southeastern University in Lakeland. So I am very familiar with Florida, with Lakeland, with Tampa, and just the great environment that goes on there. So as Thea stated, I'm Dr. Tracie Edwards. I've been a business analyst and consultant for over 25 years in multiple industries. I've had a commitment to higher education and professional development. It all started with getting my CBAP some years ago. And I also have a professional Scrum Master 1 from scrum.org, graduate certificate in project management, master's in enterprise architecture, and now my doctorate in strategic leadership. I am specifically interested in change management, digital transformation, and career development. So if you get a chance, go to my website, traceabilitycoach.com, or go to Apple or Spotify to check out my podcast called Traceability. So I think you'll find a lot of great information there. So I will go ahead and share my screen, and we will jump right on in. Are you ready for me, Thea?
Yes, I've stopped sharing. Let's do it again. Try
Okay,
again, please.
here we go. There I am. Okay, continual career improvement, and we'll switch over to slideshow real quick. And I may speak a little blunt tonight, so hopefully it opens up a great conversation, and we can have a lot of good back and forth on some of the ideas that I present here. First of all, we're going to dive into VUCA, what VUCA is, and how we react to VUCA. We're also going to dive into the health belief model and talk about how we can perform a career health checkup. Then we'll talk about the ITIL-4 continual improvement model, what it is and how it can be spun into career improvement model, and then we'll wrap up. So first of all, we want to talk about VUCA. As we know, VUCA is an acronym for volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. So first, we're going to talk about volatility. Volatility is when there's a lot of things happening all the time. Change is going on, news is alarming, and we're sort of thrust with change upon us, and we're not sure how to react to it. So volatility is something that we need to manage and try to help ourselves to calm down and to approach it logically and approach it from a perspective of, okay, where do I go from here? With uncertainty, usually what's going on with volatility makes things uncertain, and we don't know what's going to happen next, and we're concerned about what might happen next. And so we need to be sort of planning ahead for what could potentially be happening next. Complexity. So especially in the last few years, things have become more complex. Organizations are getting larger. Processes are getting more involved. Applications are using APIs that are connecting to many different vendors. It's a very complex world, and we can be fearful that if we make a change in one area, we may not understand what's going on in another, and that could really throw things off. So with complexity, we need to understand at a deeper level what's going to be the impact of certain steps that I take. And then finally, ambiguity. Ambiguity is where we don't know what's going on, and we don't know what choices to make. We could go off in lots of different directions. It's very ambiguous. And so we need to try and narrow things in, narrow the scope, and address our ambiguity that way. What ends up happening is that VUCA occurs, and then we don't know what to do about it, and then we react to it, and it makes us very uncomfortable. Here are some examples of VUCA that have been occurring in the last several years. In 2024, there were over 152,000 tech workers laid off around the world. Just between December of last year and January of this year, there were over 161,000 new COVID cases. AI has been huge in the last 2 or 3 years. As a result of AI, there may be 375 million people around the world that need to be changing their careers in the next few years. It's volatile, it's uncertain, it's complex, and it's ambiguous. So, as we're reacting to VUCA and we're seeing VUCA occurring, there are some things that can help us to calm down and take a step back and get us thinking pragmatically. So let's talk about the health belief model. The health belief model is a model that explains why people choose to take or not take action to improve their health. They may be seeing things occurring with age, with gender, with socioeconomics, and all of the things that could be impacting our health, potentially for negative. So we need to sort of break down how susceptible would I be to a problem? What would be the severity of that problem? What would be the perceived benefits if I was to make a change in regard to my health? And what could be preventing me from doing that? Well, what has happened in the last few years is researchers have started to think of the health belief model in regards to career planning. So spinning the framework from health to career health, it explains why people choose to take or not take actions to protect or improve their career health. And we could ask ourselves the same questions. What is my perceived susceptibility to a career concern? What could be the severity of the impact of that? What could be the perceived benefits of change, or what might be the barriers keeping me from changing? And how could I potentially address this with my current skill set? So it's really good to take some time to do a career health checkup. Ask ourselves, what is my susceptibility to job loss in a time of political and economic VUCA? How severe might the impact be if I were to lose my job? What would be the perceived benefits of taking proactive action to increase my career resilience? What would be the perceived barriers to taking this action? And how capable and self-assured do I feel that I can improve my career resilience? So we can develop an immunity to failure. We can cultivate a bias for action. We can learn quickly, we can iterate, and we can ensure we don't waste too much time. We've been given the skills of Agile, Scrum, project initiatives, change management. All of these things can help us develop that immunity and improve our career health. So, as we're thinking about improving our career health, this is where the continual improvement model comes in. Now, first of all, what is ITIL for? ITIL has been around for many years. It perhaps has a little less influence now, but it's the IT infrastructure library. And it's a framework of best practices for delivering value through IT services. It helps to manage risk, it strengthens customer relationships, and it helps your IT environment be geared for growth and scale and change. And this is what a continual improvement model looks like. It's simple and logical steps for an improvement initiative at any scale. You ask yourself, what is the vision? Where are we now? Where do we want to be? How do we get there? Take action. Did we get there? And then how do we keep the momentum going? And so you're continually cycling through this continual development model to understand where it is you are and where it is you want to be. Well, what if we were to spin this into continual career improvement? This might be your continual career improvement model. And just for the sake of time, I'm going to focus on just 4 specific steps within the continual improvement model. We'll talk about the vision. We'll talk about where are we now, where we want to be, and how we get there. First of all, let's think about where we're going. That is where a vision comes in. So the academic research has shown that having a vision statement helps you coordinate and direct collective effort toward a future shared goal. Communicating a vision statement with immediate supervisors helped followers integrate the vision into their work and helped explain their job satisfaction and performance. So maybe be thinking about, do you have a vision statement? Do you have a vision for where it is you want to go in your career? That's a good question to ponder. Here are some guiding questions to help you understand what your vision might be. From a corporate perspective, how does the organization define success? What's the organization's purpose and vision? What does the business portfolio look like? How can you measure where you are in the landscape? And how can you ensure that you successfully are geared to change and to sustain that change? Well, in terms of a life strategy, a career vision, how do I define a great life? What's my life purpose or my life vision? How do I assess my portfolio in life? How can I measure where I feel like I am? And how can I ensure that I can change successfully and sustain it and ensure my resilience? So here might be a next step. And this is a step that I think is very fun, but creating your own vision board. One way that you might do this is through going onto Pinterest, using those guiding questions to help you identify images that correlate with where you might want to go in your career, where you might want to go in your life. So yeah, you know, some of you might think that a vision board is maybe a little fluffy, but it gets your brain ideating, and that's the important thing. And as you ideate, you become more resilient and you become idea driven, you get energy, you develop momentum. Write your vision statement. So start with your why. Why does your organization or product exist? What purpose are you trying to serve beyond making money? And then think about the future. What do you hope will be true within the next 5 to 10 years in regard to your career? And what changes will you help create in your life, in your family's life, and in the lives of the people that you interact with? Who will you impact? Who will benefit from what you do? Is there a good news for the planet if you act? Is there good news for a specific community? How will the world be different? Imagine what that's going to look like. And then put it all into a statement. And so we envision a world where what impact I want to make by what I do or enable, and that ends up becoming your vision statement. Secondly, where am I now? So you may have a vision statement, but now you need to understand where you are in relation to that vision statement. So here's where we think about where we are now. We need to really reflect. And sometimes we don't like to take the time to reflect. We don't like to ruminate too much. But actual reflective practice is an integral part of being a professional. And when you combine that reflective practice with continuing professional development, it can inform changes in your practice. It can help you learn and encourage a new way of thinking. So there is a technique called a wheel of life assessment. Now, a wheel of life assessment takes a look at your life from several different perspectives. There's 8 different perspectives: career, money, health, relationships, personal growth, fun and recreation, physical environment, and spirituality. And what you do is you score yourself in each of those areas out of, say, a 1 to a 20, and you score yourself, and then you color in where you think you are in the various ages or various stages of your life. So say, for example, the last several years, I've been working very hard. That has caused me some concern as far as where am I with my relationships? Am I focusing on the people and the things that are most important? What about my career? Is there more that I need to do there? Is there more that I need to do in relation to my ability to retire one day? So you color all those in, and it gives you a really good visual of areas that could perhaps use some improvement and use some focus. So your next step to discover where it is that you are in relation to your vision would be to conduct your own wheel of life assessment. I would encourage you to go to wheeloflife.io. It's a free tool, and you can go in and do your own wheel of life assessment and then see where that puts you. So now you know where you are. You've got your vision, you know where you are. Where is it that you want to be? Again, this is a time for reflection. A lot of the time this happens as you reach mid-career. I know this happened to me as I got further along in my career. I was thinking, what difference am I really making? Am I really satisfied with the role that I'm in right now? Is there more that I want to do? So, it can be a moment when, reality kind of collides with all the other things you've been thinking about. You can wrestle with unmet expectations and realize that some of the stuff you thought might happen when you graduated high school or college is a little different than what you anticipated. But it's also a profound opportunity for growth, and you can reevaluate your priorities Draw from your experiences and carve out a path that aligns with your goals for the future. One of the ways that you could do this is to ask yourself these 6 questions. What will I regret not having done or learned 10 years from now? How do I tap into my purpose? Is there a mastery or a gift that I have developed that I can offer to the world? What do I want my days to look like? What trade-offs am I willing to make or no longer willing to make? And then finally, what's getting better about my life? As we take some time to answer these questions, then it helps us get to the next phase, which is how do I get there? Now, we are all business analysts or in the tech sort of field, and so we are very proficient in planning and understanding what it takes to execute on a plan. So this means that now that you've got your vision, you know where you are and where you want to be, you need to manage the delta. So you now need to be thinking about, how do I make up and cross the distance from where I am now to where I want to be? So as our BayIIBA version 3 co-author here knows very well, planning is an essential task to ensure value is delivered to an enterprise. It typically occurs more than once on a given initiative, and plans are continually updated to address changing conditions and new issues. Here are key concepts to consider, and you could potentially use the BayIIBA core competency model for these concepts to consider. So the 6 elements of the core concept model are change, need, solution, stakeholder support, value, and context. So we could ask ourselves questions. These might be the things we consider. What do I need to change? What's missing? What's the solution? Who do I need to involve? What value do I hope to achieve? And what do I need to understand? We then need to take action. We need to work our plan. We need to review and measure our progress. We need to check in with our support team, revise our plan as needed, and then reward our progress. This is hard work, but as we work our plan, as we act and take proactive steps and actions, we will feel much healthier and feel much stronger as we approach the VUCA that is always occurring. So I wanted to share with you a case study, and I consider myself the case study. So beginning in 2015, I left my job after nearly 20 years. I had been asking myself a lot of these questions, and I realized I was likely never going to advance where I was. I had a lack of influence. I realized I was drastically underpaid, and I knew that I wanted more. But I hadn't really thought through clearly what my vision was, where it was that I wanted to be. I just knew that I wanted more. And I had a job opportunity come up that paid me significantly more, so I took it. But it ended up being a very bad fit for me. I was really bored by the domain. I dealt with some bullying. The domain I was in had a real lack of innovation and leadership, and the culture was very toxic. If you were to walk around a building, you would see nobody really interacting with each other. No laughter. people hunkered down in their own little cubes. And it was a culture that ended up not being a fit for me. And I ended up not being a fit for it. So I decided during that time that I needed to skill up. I needed a bigger challenge. I wanted to take on bigger projects, wanted to make a bigger difference. So I started a master's degree and I joined a coaching mastermind. What ended up happening was I got job number 3, which was great. It was a fun industry. It was a fun company. During that time, I also finished my master's degree. Where I was, though, I knew I was going to run into some of the same issues. I would not be able to advance there. It was a family company. And I knew that, that would not be a good long-term solution for me. Well, right after I graduated with my master's, I received an offer from a firm that recruited me, and I took job number 4. And that was in 2019, August of 2019. Well, we all know what happened in March of 2020. Suddenly, I needed more reskilling. I worked for a company that their reaction to the pandemic was to immediately lay off 500 people. Thankfully, I was not one of them, but I knew that I needed to skill up. So some things that I did during that time, the first thing that I did was I went and got a Scrum Master certification so that I had another skill in my toolbox. I also had become really interested in podcasting, and so I started a podcast. There was plenty of time to do that because we were all home, So I started a podcast, and with that came a website. And with that came some speaking opportunities. Several months later, I got another certification in ITIL 4. And then in 2023 or 2022, I ended up launching traceability coaching. And things were looking pretty good. But my company was continuing to do rounds of layoffs. And I knew that I likely would not be able to last much longer at the company. And unfortunately, I was correct. In October of 23, I was laid off. And being laid off is a real gut punch. But with all of these things that I had been doing, I ended up being very well prepared for that. And as a result of networking over many years, a friend that I had known for about 10 years ended up having a job opportunity for me that I was able to take. And I am still at that job, and I'm very happy there. I also started a doctoral degree program, and I also started learning French because I thought I needed to get more international kind of experience. The result is that things are good right now, but who knows, things could probably be better. And there could be more opportunities for me to grow and do more in my career. So I hope this is a case study that you'll kind of think about. Sometimes it can take years to come to fruition, but through hard work, through vision, through working a plan, you can eventually get to where it is you want to be. If we proactively prepare for VUCA and embrace continual improvement, then we can build the life and career that we want. I did not put an else statement in here, but if we were to put an else statement in here, you could probably just imagine what that else might be. So wrapping up, VUCA will always be with us. Things feel crazy right now, but they can get crazier. And we need to proactively prepare for VUCA through continual career improvement. And that can help us thrive in spite of what might be going on around us. So I want to leave you with a call to action. So first of all, decide what's your career vision. Next, take stock of where you are. Decide where you want to be, and then decide how you will get there. And then finally, if you would like a free vision statement template or personal power plan, please email me. I'll be happy to send you some free templates to get you started. Then I would encourage you to start writing your vision statement, get working on your vision board, and share that vision with your boss or accountability partner. This last quote is maybe the else statement that I was talking about. There is only one kind of shock worse than the totally unexpected, and that's the expected for which one has refused to prepare. And on that note, I think that is it. So thank you all for being here. I see there are a number of things in the chat. So let me dig into those.
I don't think we've got questions in the chat. I could be
Oh,
wrong.
someone said vision board for the win.
Yep.
Yes. Okay.
I've got lots of questions, Tracie.
Okay.
I'd like for other people to speak up too, though. But I want to talk about vision boards and being in VUCA. So let's start with being in VUCA. Being in VUCA is like being at the bottom of Maslow's hierarchy, you know, where you're struggling for survival. You feel like your job is in danger, your life is in danger, you can't breathe. It is really hard to do these higher things like creating a vision board and stuff. But really the question is, if we don't do that, we're going to stay there, right?
Yeah.
So this is kind of our ladder out of VUCA. And for vision boards, some people use vision boards a decade ago or something, and they might not know what they are. But a vision board is really valuable if you put it someplace where you can see it literally every day. And you look at it and you say, this is my reality. And set a date if you need to. But set it where it's a reminder for you, because it changes the way our brain works. It changes our neuroplasty. It makes it where that is our reality as well as what we're living in, instead of just what we're living in. So in other words, we have a choice of to remain in VUCA or to add our vision board and give us a goal to get out of VUCA. Do you agree?
I agree. And I think it also gets us into a more abundant mindset.
I agree.
I used Pinterest as an example. Previously, I have shown my Pinterest vision board, but you can also do this on a big piece of poster board, cut out magazine pictures and statements and the types of things that are going to help you feel positive, give you that positive energy that you need to do the kind of work that I'm hoping you will do.
Right. Has anyone on the call, have anyone created a vision board? Have you ever heard of a vision board? I see a thumbs up.
I have a question,
Yes.
Tracie. So just from your experience and through everything in life, if you could go back to yourself when you first started your professional career, what would you say yourself, and what direction would you, take your mindset going through your first, steps in your career?
So You know, I ended up in an unexpected career. I never planned to be a business analyst. I graduated with a degree in history and had no idea what I was going to do with that. I ended up sort of falling into business analyst as a result of taking another job. I was a customer service agent, and I would do anything to get off the phone. And so I would take on all sorts of projects, one of which ended up being very rudimentary software testing, which ended up getting me an opportunity to be a full-time business analyst. And for a long time, I was a little dissatisfied. I thought I should be doing better than this, you know. So I think I would tell myself, if I were back at the beginning, I would say to give myself some grace, to appreciate where I was, but also understand that I didn't need to stay there. There were things that I could do, and proactive steps that I could take. So I would just encourage someone that just because this is where you are doesn't mean that this is where you're always going to be. You don't need to figure it all out when you're 22 or 23 years old, but you need to keep doing something to move forward and to help you continue down your life path.
Excellent. Love it.
Tracie, let's talk about the charts, the Wheel of Life charts.
Mm-hmm.
I've found that in my experience creating these, if I could group pieces of my life in groups, you know, my spiritual life or my financial life, whatever was important to me, however I grouped it, it worked pretty well to create the wedges. But then I figured out that for me to be able to make the scale, I needed to say, what is the goal of healthy for each one of those? And the more specific I was, the more it kind of guided me where if I'm not where I want to be, here are some steps I can take to get there, because I knew what the goal was.
Right. Right. I would agree with that. You know, as I approached this for myself in those areas that that I saw were lacking, I started making some goals, like you said, to, okay, how am I going to increase my relationships? So I'm going to do more to meet people and get to know new people. I'm going to network. I'm going to focus on my family for a little bit, make sure that I'm there for them. And so I as you said, I did set some goals to make sure that I felt like I was getting closer to where I wanted to be in relationships. And it was the same with spirituality. I'm a person of faith. And so I set some goals to make sure that I was retaining and growing in my faith.
Very good. Has anyone else used a chart like this to graphically or visually identify where you are and where you want to go to?
I think you will be surprised how working on goals in one particular area help the rest of the areas feel more in balance. So something that I noticed was, because I was low in some areas, I felt out of balance. And so trying to grow more helped me to feel more in balance.
That makes good sense.
On the landing page of my website, I have a similar graph. It's written as a kind of a line to points, but it's the same basic presentation. And it's about concerns for the projects and solutions you're delivering, but it's exactly the same thing.
Tracie, with all of your years of consistent effort without knowing if it was going to make a difference on your traceability podcast, I don't know if you're aware of this, but you've got 5 years of podcasts listed on IMDb. That's pretty prestigious. I know. I put the link in the chat.
Oh my. Because
didn't.
that is where I go for, wow, all wisdom. Whenever I have a question, I think, what does the Internet Movie Database have to say about it? I'm in there many times a week. Now I need to look myself up.
Yeah. You might be able to customize it a little bit, but that's a pretty prestigious place to have your
That's
work.
exciting. Yes.
Yeah, that is exciting. Let's talk about other exciting things about Tracie Edwards. I told my board this before y'all joined. I'm going to tell y'all. Tracie Edwards was the very first person who ever asked me to be a guest on her podcast and opened my eyes to the idea that we could be doing this together. And she was one of the forces that propelled me into volunteering and getting active. So Tracie, you have a whole lot of people that I've impacted because of you. And thank you for that. Tracie is also one of the BA Force multipliers. Whenever I started that, I said, you know what? We need this kind of person, and Tracie's one of this kind of person. So I invited her to join that. I'm now working on an effort with Angela Wick. We are founding this, and I called Tracie into that one too, because we want good people to be involved. It's amazing to me that these little things, you know, Tracie, whenever you asked me to be on that podcast, you probably had no idea what was going to happen as a result. You know, it's going to make waves, but we have all of these things that they make waves. One of the results of me being on your podcast is I got more bold. I felt like I had more of a voice. And so whenever they asked me to help write the Babok 3.0, I didn't say, oh no, y'all don't need me. I said, okay, I could do it, because I was thinking, you know, I got the encouragement. So that has made a whole bunch of more waves. So I want to encourage everybody to use your voice. You have a voice, you have great ideas. If you don't know how to use it, reach out to somebody who is using their voice. And if they don't give you the answer that you need, keep reaching out to other people. Somebody can give you ideas to how you can use your voice. If you want to do podcasts, if you want to do webinars, if you want to do workshops or make newsletters, we want to hear your ideas. If it's just through LinkedIn, we want to hear your ideas. So don't feel like nobody wants to hear you. Somebody needs to hear you.
And I am always happy to do a complimentary sit down with anybody. If you'd like to go to traceabilitycoach.com, you'll find a link to my calendar, and we can set up some time just to talk and see where you are and get to know each other better.
Right.
Yes,
Do we have any?
strangely enough, it's Carol. Sorry,
Hey, Carol.
I'm not visible tonight. I'm not suitable for such things. But as I talk to the doctor, hello, doctor, from the doctor.
Hello, Dr. Carol.
Thank you. You nailed what I asked my students to call me. Seriously, what else am I going to do when I get my PhD at 24 or 27? I was younger than some of my students. It was ridiculous. But some of the processing that we need to do has to take into account so many different perspectives. And there are just valuable contributions from every perspective. Sometimes they're painful, because you just say, how could you think that way? But you realize they've got a perspective that's just as valid as everybody else. And one of the things that I have appreciated, all right, 20-second overview. I already told you I got my PhD on my 27th birthday in information systems and technology. I wrote and licensed my first product 5 years before that. And I have been living and working internationally with my Swiss husband, doing installations, building software packages for different clients for 20, 30 years. So I use the BA version of my brain. I use the teaching version of my brain. I use the programmer, the developer, the tester, all of those different perspectives. And the hardest thing I had to do was step back, and realize that different cultures, whether that's within a different area of the business or different area of the world, have a perspective that is valuable to them.
Mm-hmm.
And to communicate, you have to understand where they're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this has been very helpful. I've never done the Wheel of Life assessment because, well, my life has always been improving, so I've never felt lacking in any way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I might try that because it's life is about to hand me another set of changes coming up in the next 5 to 7 years. And we'll see where that takes me.
Exactly. So, I agree. We need to get many diverse perspectives to help us. I happen to be single, so I don't have immediate feedback a lot of the time. I need to go seek it from friends or family and kind of get a feel for how they think I'm doing and that kind of thing. But for those of us who have partners, spouses, families, those are probably the people who are going to help us achieve some of that perspective. And yeah, one of the great things about the BA Force Multipliers, about Elevate BA, about LinkedIn and the BA community on LinkedIn is that we're very, very tied into our global business analysis community. And that is a great place for us to get some of those other perspectives. So would definitely encourage you to, if you're not much on LinkedIn, if you're not much, if you don't have a group of colleagues from a more international cultural community, that could certainly be very beneficial. So.
Anybody else? Okay, we are at the end of our time. Tracie, again, thank you so much for bringing your life experience as well as your deep business analysis experience to us. We talk about business analysis a lot. We talk about being human a lot, but sometimes we don't connect the two. And you did a fine job tonight of reminding us that, well, if we continue to do the same thing and expect different results, that's the definition of insanity. And you're showing us a better way out of it. So thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me. It's a real pleasure to share this time with all of you. So
Great.
thank you.
Okay, guys, we have David that's going to be here next week, and he's going to be talking about the principles he's learned in his 20-year career as a business analyst. The week after that, I have a co-host that's going to be taking over for me because I'm going to be presenting, well, I think it's that week. Very soon after that, I'm going to be presenting at BBC, and we have activities in the evening, and I don't want to miss out on the opportunities to learn things and bring it back to y'all. So Seamus is going to step up and take over for us on that date as our host. And so we will continue on, even if I'm not here, and then I'll bring good things back to you. So I hope that you come and see the good speakers that I've lined up. I really think that these folks have good, important things to teach us as business analysts and to make our lives better. Tracie, again, thank you very much. I'll see you later.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
See you.